I'm Megyn Kelly, live in New York, and tonight. 19 days since Flight 370 disappeared, and tonight people are starting to ask, was this pilot in any frame of mind to fly? The story behind that question, plus General Tom McInerney on the latest twist. And breaking tonight, brand new polls on the president's leadership and what it means for how strong we are, how safe we are, and America's standing in the world. Our focus group reacts.
I want to begin this segment by asking our 20 Americans, how many of you think that America's best days are behind it?
Wait until you see how this plays out. And then,
neither one of us have slept for 3 days. Just coffee and perseverance.
Breaking news tonight on the mudslide in Washington. It's all on the Kelly File right now. Breaking tonight's stunning new poll showing a growing concern about the strength of America under President Obama's leadership. Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. A series of just-released polls reveal a sharply rising number of Americans who think their country is losing strength, stature, and its well-earned respect among nations. In the latest Fox News polls, 52% say our country is weaker and less powerful today than it was 6 years ago at the start of President Obama's first term. Look at that. A huge shift in how Americans view the state of our nation. Just 59% believe the U.S. is now the most dominant power in the world. Back in 2002, it was 85% who believed that. And then there's this. A new CBS News poll showing a dramatic first in President Obama's presidency. Today, more Americans believe our country's image in the world is getting worse than believe it is getting better, with only 32% saying that perceptions of the USA have improved since President Bush left office. Fewer than 1 in 3 think President Obama has helped America's image. Pretty startling when you think of the promises he made as a candidate. Joining me now, Mark Thiessen. He's a former speechwriter, chief speechwriter, we just added that in because it's true, for President George W. Bush and a fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, and Joe Trippi, who's a veteran Democratic campaign manager and a Fox News contributor. All right, Mr. Chief Speechwriter, those numbers are pretty gloomy, and they come, I just want to tell the audience that they come largely, you know, what's happening in Ukraine with Russia is playing into some of these foreign policy numbers and how people are perceiving our strength. But I want to tell them that we just got a report as we came to air marked urgent from our Capitol Hill producer, talking about how there is now very serious concern on Capitol Hill tonight about a, quote, deteriorating situation in Eastern Europe, saying a top aide saying there are senior people up on Capitol Hill that are more concerned than they've ever seen them. They cannot describe how awful this is. And some top Republicans have sent a letter to President Obama expressing alarm and urging an increase in the readiness of U.S. forces in Europe. Mark, your thoughts?
It's a very serious situation. Look, I mean, Putin is increasing the number of forces on Ukraine's border. He's conducting exercises in a breakaway region of Moldova. So this could very well threaten other countries in the region. And so that's why this perception, these polls you're talking about, are very important, because it's not just the American people that see the country, the United States, as less powerful and weaker than ever before. It's our opponents in the world. It's Vladimir Putin. If the American people see that, Vladimir Putin sees that. And I'll give you just a perfect example of it. The Ukrainian prime minister came a few weeks ago to meet with Obama in the Oval Office, desperate for military aid to help his country. He asked for ammunition, arms, and intelligence. And you know what we gave him? MREs. Meals ready to eat. We gave him food rations. He asked for RPGs. We gave him MREs. What kind of signal does that send to Vladimir Putin? It sends a signal of weakness. And when your adversaries think you're weak, they're prone to miscalculate. They're prone to take actions they wouldn't take otherwise. Weakness is provocative, and we are projecting weakness in the world right now.
Joe, what do you make of the fact that, I mean, he's less than 1 in 3 of Americans believe that he has improved the country's stature since President Bush? I mean, there's a longing for President Bush for some people, who is, you know, lampooned by the left and even the center for his foreign policy, and yet you look at these polls on President Obama and foreign policy, just 53% disapproved, just 37% approve. Is he a strong and decisive leader? 55% of the country says no, he is not.
Well, no, Megan, I don't think there's anybody pining for George Bush right now. I think that's a misread of this. I mean, look, no one wants to put 150,000 troops into Ukraine and create some kind of military battle with Russia, or even occupy the place for 10 years like we had to do in Iraq and Iran. So I think both things are problematic, both the Bush policies and obviously people, I think the poll reflects, people have questions about Obama's foreign policy and defense as well. But the problem here is there is no military solution to Ukraine. There is no, we're going to go to...
It's not just Ukraine. Ukraine, there's breaking news on that tonight, which is why I mentioned it, but it's beyond Ukraine.
Well, there are all kinds of places, but the country, we're not ready. This country is not going to go into put 150,000 ground troops anywhere. That's not where we're at. This president ran for twice now, saying he was going to get out of Iraq, get out of Afghanistan. That's what he's doing.
That's the problem, Joe.
No, it's not the problem.
Yeah, it is. The problem is that all
let Mark have his turn. Go ahead, Mark.
Well, that's the problem, is that this president, all he does is talk about how we're going to withdraw from the world so we can focus on nation building here at home. He's talking about, he's reducing the size of the army to pre-World War II levels. You know what happened the last time we were at pre-World War II levels? World War II. Peace through strength is not part of his agenda. He's cutting the military to our army chiefs are up on the hill begging for money because the army is not going to be able to carry out its missions. We have a doctrine in Libya of leading from behind. In Syria, a red line that was crossed without consequence. We're projecting weakness in the world, Joe.
Go ahead, Joe.
First of all, no one's going to start World War III over Crimea. So we can talk about how World War II happened. It's not going to happen here.
Secondly, they said that about Czechoslovakia too.
8 years ago. Well, I don't remember George Bush doing anything about Georgia. So let's when Putin did that.
Yeah, we sent the U.S. military in to get the Georgian troops and bring them back to their country to invade their country.
The problem here is none of this. We're talking about old stuff that doesn't work. Technology is moving forward. That's why drones and other things.
But it's not working to improve people's image of our president or our country.
Well,
I mean, our country, their image of our country is falling.
Yeah, but Megan, George Bush said in his last 2 years, it didn't matter what people were saying about he made mistakes on the war. History would decide whether his policies were right or wrong. Yep. Same thing here with Barack Obama. These poll numbers are interesting. He's not running for re-election. History is going to decide whether his policies worked or did not work. They'll decide whether it was a failed policy or not.
Yep. Guys, good debate.
Yes.
Good to see you both.
All right. Thanks, Megan.
Thanks, Megan.
What do these new polls mean for our country, for the larger country? Pollster Frank Luntz put some of these questions to a focus group. Wait till you see this.
If I were to offer you $10 million today, $10 million, tax-free, but you'd have to leave the country a week from now, and you can never come back. You can take your family with you, you can take your friends with you. $10 million. Who would leave America? Raise your hands.
Wow. The responses and that debate got even more dramatic from there. We'll show you that just ahead.